And feel free to ask any questions, or after all, even audience can ask questions.
Absolutely. So if the audience does have any questions, we'll be happy to cater to them. You can put them in the chat box. So I myself have a couple of questions which I would
Yes.
like to ask. So in all the work that you have done across artificial intelligence, I'm curious about how you perceive its connection with the Jain principles like non-violence and truth.
I mean, I'm governed by those principles. I just want to tell you that I truly have adopted those principles to the extent still being in the uh, sansar. So I want to tell you that that is true. I think there are challenges. I don't want to tell you that there are no challenges. General artificial intelligence as it exists today, what we are doing through generative models, has picks up knowledge from documents. So there are two things which can go wrong. Some of the documents themselves might be wrong documents. So then it is possible that it may not be correct one. But now if you start summarizing all of them, presumably those outliers can be removed. Those are called guardrails. So we are trying to, that's not my personal topic of research, but there is a lot of work going on in terms of creating guardrails of uh, removing documents, removing certain kind of uh, answers, like how to make a nuclear bomb, or how to make a bomb. So those are the kind of things which are being done, removing those documents in some fashion. And then there's actually a major project I'm getting involved in to some extent, which would look at that. And second is there is this whole issue where it's just generating. Remember, it's generating. It doesn't, it just is sort of generating after one word after other. So it can go wrong direction. And if it goes wrong direction, then it will go on generating something which may not be correct at all. That's called hallucination. So there are some challenges. And I think that those are not going to be solved in 6 months kind of thing. But we are talking about in 5 to 7 years, it will have tremendous potential to solve those. So Satya is very, very critical. And Ahimsa is, I think, where we are trying to democratize this knowledge about Jainism and other ancient religions from India, Hinduism, and even Buddhism, whatever, uh, ancient knowledge from India. And that would, I think, to the extent that democratizing of that knowledge would help, that would be really fantastic. I truly believe that that has a potential. I've seen how Gandhiji was influenced and how others were influenced because of him. And they were, none of them were Jains. So I feel that those are the things, but the only way they were influenced by reading, by interacting, by learning, and so on and so forth. So that's what is the first step we are, I shouldn't say we alone, but at least we are going in that direction. Does it answer your question? Sorry, Vidit.
Yeah, it does. I think another question I would like to ask that would be, do you agree on the fact that artificial intelligence, given its responses are actually based on the information that is actually fed to it, do you think the history or anything that it actually produces or gives you as an output can be tweaked based on content that it is fed to? So how can we differentiate between what is ethical information and what is disinformation on when it comes to the context of artificial intelligence?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Actually, I just addressed that a little bit in terms of putting guardrails and trying to understand. Now, and if there is only one or such documents or few such documents, then it's very unlikely that those will be affected, because it goes through many, many documents and tries to compare whatever questions you might have, and it tries to compare and find some of the best answers. So if you look at my stuff earlier, it released 3 documents or 4 documents. So you can take a look at all of those documents and you can see if there are differences where it is. Now, this may become a real problem if you suddenly start getting 20% and 30% of the documents are completely bogus documents. And this is the risk which we have to deal with it. And that's where a lot of research related to guardrail is going on. So as soon as there is a whole notion, which I won't go into the detail here, is related to principally uh, looking at variety of newer algorithms, which would help human being looking at it and then automatically trying to train the system to try to identify things which are bad and automatically removing it. But I don't know. I think we are there. We are trying, and as you know, companies like Google and Meta have got thousands of employees which are just checking every day what is bad and what is good. So, and the hope is not to do this all by humans. Ultimately, this will be all done by two types of machine. One machine which is producing it, another one which will be now asking and probing and saying, oh, this is bad, this is not bad. So the idea is that these are what are known as, this is very, very feasible. But right now, substantial number of human beings, thousands, I'm sure in Bangalore, there are thousands which are working on that day in, day out on those particular topics.
Perfect. Thank you. So that does answer my questions.
Thank you, Siddhartha. So thank you so much. This was very insightful to me. I have a very philosophical question here. I don't even know how to frame this question. So as we go into artificial intelligence and the concept of a sentient AI, which is conscious, right? And if I see a world in which there's a sentient AI, how much will it be influenced by the documents which it already has knowledge about? And do you believe there is enough documents on the web about Jainism or any other religion for that matter to make that sentient AI almost like, okay, it is of a particular religion and the thought processes of a particular religion? And do you believe that Jainism will become instinct in that sentient AI world?
So it's sort of interesting. Now, obviously, if you are going to talk about ethical guidelines, and suppose if there was such a sentient one, which is open question, because that is scary, correct? I mean, to have a sentient one who would do all this is a open question, to be honest. And there are serious ethical issues there, but I won't tread that. But I think that the part is that if you were to ask such a sentient one, what are the ethical guidelines and so on and so forth, it would synthesize many of those kind of documents which are related to that. And that's why Jainism and other, which would come up in some meaningful manner, and it will be able to answer. Now, if you're thinking about asking specific question related to nonviolence, clearly Jainism is going to be toward the top of all of this. So I just want to point out, if you were to ask ahimsa, aparigraha, any of those things, we just saw it here, correct? So that's what is there. Now, the basic question which was about sentient one, I won't answer, because I think that that really is a debate which is going on,
I
and there is
get it. It's hard.
a lot of fear mongering in that regard.
No, but my maybe it's a more pertinent question for where we are today, which is, do you think we need to digitize more and more of the Jain documents such that there's more and more awareness on the AI? So maybe that's a ask for everyone to say, digitize document as much as possible.
I would say yes, absolutely. Bhagwan Vani was exactly that, correct? Bhagwan Vani was given in Prakrit for all the people to understand. So let's not forget that part of it. This idea that there is somebody who's going to filter it, who knows what is truth, and they're only going to read it, and they're only ones who are going to tell us, to me is very sterile. And it's not a good, in my opinion. And therefore, in my opinion, I mean, this whole project is all about that. This project is to do with exactly that. Sorry, please go ahead. I'm sure some people will hate me for that. And I have seen people who have attacked me. I've seen people who have, we started a chair at Rutgers, and a number of people have come to me. Oh, these professors were coming. If they say something and they interpret something about Bhagwan's Vani, then we are committing bad karma. Now, to me, this is not the right way of thinking about it. But anyway, I don't want to get into that debate right now.
Thank you, Pramodji. Professor Dalal, would you like to elaborate a bit on your bit on the charity that is the Alka Siddhartha Dalal Endowed Postdoctoral Fellowship at Rutgers?
Oh, thank you. I think, to be honest, I appreciate it very much. You're asking me a question. This actually came about. I come, of course, from a Jain family and Jain tradition. And my wife was also coming from Jain family, with her grandfather being a Jain monk. And she passed away due to ALS, which was very traumatic experience. But before that, we were always interested in Jain education. We started a Jain library, Jain Pathshala, part of it, and so on and so forth. We were always there. My wife was always there. And then I had some out-of-body experiences. I went for meditation and monastery, stayed in monastery and then I had climbed Kilimanjaro. And on top of it, I had another out-of-body experience, giving me sort of addict in some fashion to do what can I do for next generation. So this is where we started a chair on Jainism at Rutgers University, which is one of the largest university with 80,000 students across all the campuses, and never had anything on Jainism, although a large number of Jain students still go there. Largest amount of Jain community in US is in New Jersey. And so I felt very strongly, thanks to Sulek Bhai and Dilip Bhai, and there are so many people who are in the audience whom I really appreciate their help in that regard, that we started this share in her honor, so that not only Jains, but non-Jains can learn about Jain principles. And so we really have been fortunate. Actually, now roughly around 100 students a year are taking many of them are non-Jains, are taking Jainism courses. And there is a whole now large organization of Jain students which have been created, Jain Student Association. And expectation is that this will become bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is happening across many places in US. But I think New Jersey, being the largest Jain community, being largest university, and one of the top universities, I felt that was a good thing to do. So that's where we started it. And I had a lot of doubts about how successful it would be, to be honest. And it has been now 2 years. If 2 years were any guideline, or 2 years were any way we can say anything, I feel extraordinarily happy about the progress we have made. And my hope is that this will continue even bigger and better. And then Jain community is also greatly involved in it. There were 3 legs to this thing. One of them was Jainism teaching, Jainism research also, about the principles and so on and so forth. Current professor actually did his PhD in Anekantvad. He's American born, and Professor Anil Mundra, and he did his PhD in Anekantvad from Haribhadra Suri, from University of Chicago, and was a researcher at Harvard University. So we were very fortunate to have it. And next generation will, my hope is it will continue that way. And then the third one was a community. So there are 3-legged school I talked about. Community has to be involved, and community needs to be benefited also by all this. So those 3-legged stool was my theory, that's what we needed to do. Sorry, I've taken a long time perhaps talking about this, but I think this kind of thing we're trying to do at other places also. And Sulek Bhai, Jaswant Bhai, and a number of other people are greatly involved in it, and Dilip Bhai, all of them are greatly involved in it. So I want to tell you that I feel, at least I feel better about spreading this word in world of violence. The amount of violence which is going on around the world today, you can see all over the world. Ukraine, you see Gaza, you see elsewhere in Africa, all of those places. And there is just potential for war between China and US, and so on and so forth. Some of the Jain principles can make a big difference.
Can we discuss about Sentinel AI?
Okay, what would you like to discuss? Can you tell me, Vinaji?
what's like I have heard like this is the era of AGI, artificial general intelligence. So what
That's
is the
right.
role of Sentinel AI in this?
I now, of course, I have to be very careful here because the Sentinel AGI, Sentinel is not being defined well. And so we all,
It's Sentinel AGDI. What's the full form of it? Can I be aware of it?
no, what I'm trying to say is that there is no formal definition of it. And so
Okay.
people are imagining worst possible thing like God Almighty, and this would be all God Almighty who would come and they would be Sentinel One. So I'm a little bit worried about calling about Sentinel One. I mean,
No,
whether
what we are building, what we as humans are building for, our growth and, our, helpness. In many places we can see robots are being commercialized as well, to help uh, uh, normal normal household workage. You can understand, right?
yeah. No, actually, to be honest, what you just said is amazing, actually. And that's one of the greatest benefit. I think that this is going to change the world in terms of senior citizens, people who cannot take care of themselves. All of these kind of robots with ability to understand what we need, an ability to process, an ability to do something about it is going to be really one of the most important thing which is going to happen. And I think that so that is different than Sentinel one. So I just want to point out there is robots, which you just pointed out. Sentinel one is where you are talking about something different. So I just want to be careful. But robots, yes, I agree with you, and that is going to be one of the greatest benefit in terms of things also where there are potential for human accidents and so on and so forth. That would be something really fantastic.
Sorry, I was late into the meeting. I just handed over from my, grandmother, and I was hearing Sentinel terms going on, and I am from technical field, so I just wanted to know what we were talking about that topic.
To be honest, I have not covered that topic. I've talked about artificial general intelligence and
Okay,
generative
okay, okay.
and Jainism, which are the things which I talked about. I didn't really go into there are a lot of philosophical aspect, ethical aspects, to what extent, and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of fear mongering going on, to be honest. There's a lot of fear
Right,
mongering.
right.
So
Fear
I
mongering.
Thank you, sir. So I think we have crossed our time
sure,
bounds,
Thank-
and it was a pleasure to have you with us.
sure,
So I think we
absolutely.
Dilipji
Hey,
and
Hey, Janendra, Siddhartha, how are you doing? I was paying attention, understood some things and not many, but I'm interested to know if there is any thought of changing the name of the field from artificial to something that one can be more attractive to. Why dwell into something artificial? Why not call it something authentic, or something like a deep research or something positive? Uh, there is a negative connotation to the word artificial, and I'm wondering if there is any thinking on giving it a better name so that it might have the apprehension to the artificial intelligence is augmented when you add a word artificial.
Dilip bhai, your comment is well taken. I think unfortunate part is that this term artificial has been used for almost 70 years. In 1956, 57, at a conference in Dartmouth, this term was first time used. And it has become so prominent across it that, I mean, we can replace it by generative models. which is what I talk about in terms of generative, because it's generating it. You're right. But I just want to point out that I think that that's the vital sort of taking away artificial from media and from everything else is going to be probably a battle which would be, I think, would be hard to win. So just to let you know. But I think you have a good point. You're a very creative individual. Maybe perhaps we can think about it a little bit. But I'm not sure that this battle is going to be won in any other manner. This is sort of prominent. How many hundreds of millions of people are using same term? Not hundreds of millions, billion probably. Correct. So I'm not so sure that there is anything 1% or hundreds of people can do it, but it's worth thinking about it. Ethical AI, we talk about now. So there are conferences on just ethical AI and other kind of things. So people are adding terms like ethical, generative, all of those things people are adding terms and not just AI kind of thing. Sulik Bhai had a hands up, was it not? Or Ramesh Bhai?
I think we'll have Sulik sir right now.
Okay, Ramesh Bhai.
Siddhartha Bhai,
Namaskar.
thank you for a very, very informative talk. I knew nothing about it, but you gave me at least some idea where it is heading. Now, you have quite a few students working with you in your lab, and you are working on some translation or looking at some Jain Agam. Can you give us the idea of what you are working on right now from Jain Agam point of view?
Well, I think Jain Agam, we are very fortunate, to be honest, because I think Deep Ratna Sagarji Maharaj had done some Hindi translation. So it is really useful to us for training purposes. I think so, but it doesn't have necessary English translations, and it does not have other kind of things. And we want to expand it. As I mentioned to you, we need to expand our training set. So really, we are looking for other things like Samaisar, like which is from Kunda Kundacharya, and then others. So we're really trying to do that. But Agam was the beginning of all this. To be honest, Agams are, at least according to Svetambara tradition, that's nothing but Bhagwan's Vani, because that's what Gautam Swami and other Gandhar, Sudharma Swami and all of those were the ones who dictated it and who said that I have heard Mahavir Swami saying something. So that is really the beginning of it, to be honest. We started with that, to be honest. And we are still working through some of those things, but we are really trying to add other things along with it.
I understand you are also connected with Geeta's Ganga project.
Yeah, I talked with them and they're last week. Thank you so much. You are the one who introduced me to them. We'll see how it goes in terms of how can they help me. But help me meaning not me. Remember, me is meant to be we. Me is meant to be us. So I just want to, when I say me, please don't, just lack of right language. I apologize. But this is meant to be project for everyone. Everyone who is interested. I'd really like to allow all of you to collaborate with me and us. And we become we, and we do all this as us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ramesh sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Vidit, for such an excellent moderation. Thank you, Professor. First of all, thank you for coming on our platform. We are so excited. The moment I came to know that, if you remember, Nitin Mehta has introduced us. He's a close family friend from Bay Area. He's the one who sent the mail. It's not Jitu Bhai.
You're right. You're right. Absolutely.
Jitu
Bhai is the one who got us in touch.
Yeah. So for that, first of all, thank you so much. And my question to you, Professor, is, see, Jainism, we have a lot of followers in India, and India has a large following, and the origin of the religion is from here. Unfortunately, a lot of youth is drifting away from this religion in India. Unlike what I saw in Jaina conference recently in Orlando, or the amount of work you people scholarly are doing, is we are unable to see that in India. Maybe because we are very divided, we are very sectarian here, unlike in North America. Do you think what is the learning we take from North America back to India, and how do we at least make a small steps to bring as one think as Jain, not as divided as we are. What is those steps? How North American and scholars like you and the Jaina can help us in doing that? Because the youth is really drifting away. Because so many people have different practices, it's become Kriya, it's become some are knowledgeable, some are approachable. So they don't believe, they all wanted logic. And I'm sure the work what you're doing can bring that. And that's the primary purpose of our foundation, that how we can bring the youth back to the religion. So I just wanted your view on that.
What a noble cause you have in terms of bringing all this diaspora or going in different directions and putting them together. It's like herding cows, if I may call that. I hope you don't mind my using that word, that language, but it's not easy for sure. I think, to be honest, really, I would say that, people like Dilip Bhai, Sulekh Bhai, who are all past presidents of China, have probably a lot more to say than I could ever say, to be honest. They are the presidents of China. They have thought through all of this. They are working through all of this. But I just personally feel that this whole two things, which is really part of it is really secularism in terms of whether or non-secularism in terms of we are Digambar and we are Terapanthi and we are this Panthi and we are that Panthi, but we are not thinking about, well, that's Bhagwan's Vani. That doesn't belong to this particular part. Yeah, I might have Guru, and so Guru is very important for us because after all, we are going to learn from our Gurus. And so that is really important. So that's part of it. But part of it is really, to be honest, cultural influence also. So drifting away from our languages to now English medium, more or less all over India to a great extent. And then we don't have access to the kind of things which are there. And so this is all very, very important. And so that's the part which we are working on. But I think this idea about how North America and China can teach us is something I would really ask Dilip Bhai and Sulekh Bhai and whoever are Jaina, Harish Bhai, whoever are on the meeting to really dwell into that, because that's something I think that they would have better ideas than I would have.
So we are in touch with China very closely, and we're taking their best practice in India. But I wanted to know from you how we can help you and how intellectually you can bring those research and this one to India, and how as a backend we can help you.
Yeah. Oh, I really need help. I want to tell you that. So there are two places I need really help. First place is nothing but getting more training data. That is a part of it, which is very, very critical. Because without having better and better training, we are not going to produce better and better results. So that I would have to say that there are a number of books which have never been, the more we have translation available, the more it will become better and we'll be able to do more. So that's the most important part of it. Another part is that, of course, I'm running this lab based on the research foundation, research money, which I'm putting it myself in some fashion. And it would be great if we want to make this bigger, then we might want to think about how can we support students, more students, to be able to help out in this project. Not for me, but not for any, it's just supporting of the students, because students are all, after all, studying full-time and so on and so forth. So those are the two most important things. And this kind of research can take a lot of resources, like GPUs. I'm sure you're aware of it. The graphical processor units. Now, some of them are costing $30,000 and $20,000. NVIDIA latest one is like $30,000. And not only that, I can't get hold of it even, because I am too little of fish in this ocean of GPUs they are producing, that Google is going after them. Oh, give it to us. And everybody's going to Jason and asking him in NVIDIA that give it to us. Meta is asking same thing. Everybody's asking for same thing. So ability to get some resources which would help our students, not only from student support, but also the compute support, which is a part of it. So those are the kind of things which are unhidden costs. They're hidden costs, because those are not known. People don't think that way. Oh, people think, oh, you just sit down and you do it on your laptop. Baba, this is not going to happen. You really need is all GPUs. You need all kinds of very specific kind of machines, specific kind of software, and so on and so forth, which is not trivial. Even for my own resources, it's not trivial. I want to tell you that. So these are the challenges, whatever way people can help, and especially training data. But I'm just pointing out that you asked me, that's why I'm pointing out.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I would.
No, definitely noted, Professor. I will just make a note and we will definitely connect offline and see what best we can do in this regard.
Sure.
Thank you, Vidit. Thank you, Vidit. Thank you so much. Youngsters like you join more and be a part of this whole drive, and hand over to you, Vidit.
Thank you, Ramesh sir. So before we wrap up, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to Dr. Siddhartha Dalal for sharing his insights and inspiring us to explore the integration of AI into our daily lives. A big thank you goes out to all of you, our audience, for joining us today. I also want to quickly inform you that today's session will be available on the Jain Foundation's YouTube channel within the next 2 days. You can share the video with others or watch it again. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you want to become a member of the Jain Foundation, please join our WhatsApp group. You can find the link in the chat box or contact the admin number. Lastly, please share your thoughts, suggestions, and feedback using the feedback form shared with today's invitation message. With that, it's time to conclude the session. Once again, thank you, Dr. Siddhartha Dalal, and to all of you. We'll see you in the next talk. Jai Jinendra and good morning.
Yeah, Pranam and Jai Jinendra.
Jinendra, thank you so much.